have been set up in the last 15, 18 years, like Tencent. But a lot of the innovation, a lot of the breakthrough have come relatively recently in the last 5 years, right? So like Tencent financials only in 2011. So a lot of what they do is new. So everything is new. They're doing things that have never been done before. So everyone has got a startup mentality, and they're kind of developing as they go and working with partners to create ecosystem, working with regulators to push boundaries. Okay, now from the feedback that we've got, okay, we identify them into a few key themes, right? So for the highlights, if we can start from the higher level, I think some of the things that you are saying from the high level deal with purpose, vision that inspire what is driving a lot of this organization. So if you listen to the inspiring story of the people from Alibaba, right, or Ant Financials, so doing small things to make the lives of the small people better, right? Or yesterday, Simon Long was saying doing something different, something good, right? And also that vision, that passion inspires the team and create the culture that drives the whole organization. Right? So a lot of you find that that is very important as well. Key theme in terms of having the vision, the purpose that drives the organization. It's not just about money, it is about creating something that improves people's life. Right? And then we look at the culture. Okay, some of you say successful company has innovation culture, and it's important for that as well. So in a lot of companies like Huawei or Tencent, one of the ways that they recognize innovation is they have patents war, right? Where they recognize all the patents that they have created, or they create academies. So especially in Shenzhen, I think we saw Huawei Academy, Tencent Academy, Alibaba has also. So it's continuous, it's getting resources. And also if you look at the differences between the fintech and the Tencent and all, they are very inclusive. They have very young people, and they have foreign trained people as well, right? So speak good English, interact very well, has got global kind of knowledge, education, and so.
Yeah.
So
what you might not have missed for some of the groups is that the location of Tencent today, it's located right next to the university that Pony Ma taught, and the new building is actually on the other side of the university. So this whole connection with students, this is a whole ecosystem of teaching, learning, refining, and keep this, coming in as a whole ecosystem.
Yep. So, and a lot of you recognize that in such just marketplaces, it is important to dominate as well. So, there are one or two places for winners. Now, what does the rest do? The rest, partner up and be part of the ecosystem, right, as you develop. But it's also very important to have that position of dominance. And with a lot of this startup, they start very early. And a lot of the lessons learned by what you are giving us is in terms of speed of implementation and speed to scale, right? So two things in that respect. A lot of the other feedback deal with places that you like. Okay, so you like places at Lufax, so places that have got the technology. Simon Lung yesterday said, business model relatively easy to come by, right? You can replicate a business model easily. But what stands out is the technology, right? The technology model, unique technology that nobody has, only you have when you develop with your partners or whatever. So that is very important as well. And that's recognized by quite a number of you as well, to have that technology or to have access to technology. It's not just a business model, but having the technology that differentiates, right? So you like WeLab as well. You like a lot of the companies that focus their business on understanding the customer, right? So we cannot run away from It's all about understanding customers and getting the data that allows you to serve the customer better. So people like Dooley, like even Doon, that has got huge amount of data. And I think one of the interesting things about China is how they are able to access data. I think we also had side conversation, among some of you about how the banks have got a lot of information. Even some of the information, some of you think you have, some of you think you don't have, right? But the thing is, you never look at it whether it's useful or not. But but you look at Simon Lung, he's got 800 over criteria. He looks at everything. Matt.
On the data score, you actually saw Tong Dung, and he said he had great data and everything, and he was mining that data. Then we went to Sesame Credit, and they said that they had the best data, black data and everything, and he was working for it. Then you look at we Tencent Today and WeChat. They said that they had the best data. So it's all about, okay, there's no such thing as perfect and total data. You've got to understand what data can you get access to, and then try and, it's a bit like what Simon Lung said, trying to look at the data in a much different way, and then you can actually find this out.
Okay, so data and okay, one is very simple, the kind of data that you have, but the difficult thing is how then do you quickly use the data, right? So a lot of them have the technology as well, artificial intelligence, big data analytics, they talk about it, cloud platform as well, that allows them to use the data and deploy that data, okay? So, and they're investing on technology, right? So there's an essential part of it. Data analytics are very important, and also working with local partners to succeed together. So the places that you like, I repeat again. Okay, the other thing that was mentioned also, a lot of you were surprised by how advanced the technology is. And in China, a lot of the technology are built here, even though, but I don't think they develop all here. They do work with outside partners. Like Matt was telling us earlier, Huawei has got how many visiting professors?
They've got 700 full-time and 2,000 part-time.
Yeah. So even though the technology and the Chinese are actually very open, right? Getting ideas and building on
I've
them.
actually been quite surprised this week by how open organisations have been. Doing similar kinds of visits to companies 5-10 years ago, it was a totally different story unless you were part of a group. So if you had a reason to come in, then you're treated like family. Otherwise, they wouldn't meet you.
Okay, so big data analytics, but the supporting technology. Okay, some of the things that weren't mentioned specifically, for example, like Wangxiang Group, right? The one that we visited about the smart city. And the smart city is relate to the first point. It starts with a bigger vision, right? The future of the future future energy resource. How we are creating the technology for clean environment and so on and so forth. But in order to support that, they are creating new technology, blockchain, IoT, IOV, and a lot of there's still a lot of opportunities, right, to be had as they develop this technology, and as this technology mature, create new opportunities.
And I think that's one of the common things that went across virtually every conversation, is everyone was trying to actually do a better customer experience. So they were focused on trying to make it simple, making it efficient. I think the smart city aspect is we've got to remember where financial services is a means to an end. It's not the total experience. And the things about these platforms that Alibaba, Tencent and Baidu have actually made is how do you actually embed financial service components into that. So I think that the smart city is a good example of we're trying to solve a wider thing here, how people live their lives, how people have a lifestyle, and then how do we actually integrate with that.
Okay, So very interesting in terms of what they are building, and again that speed and scale is something quite amazing. So they are not building it over the next 20 years. They are saying some of this technology will come on screen in the next 2 to 3 years. Blockchain, right? The guy was telling us, and that the city itself will be built over 7 years, right? And 30 billion. A lot of investment will be done relatively quickly, and it will be interesting to follow this to see what comes out in the next 2-3 years. Okay, now the next thing is, as Matt mentioned, design thinking, the whole customer experience, understanding customer, using data, okay? And using data not just in an online environment, but increasingly in China, there is still a place for the physical interaction, so online and offline as well.
So virtually every fintech that we went and saw had a data wall. So data was always central to the strategy. We saw the relationship between IBM and Li and Fung at their Explorium project, and that was like they were doing tweaks every week about what their environments, what are the relationships between customers coming to the environment, but then how did they actually purchase? So they were making those tweaks and stuff, but data was at the core.
Mm-hmm. Now we also see some differences in terms of business model. Tencent has got an open platform, very open to working with partners, but also from there they are very purposeful, very single-minded. They know exactly what they want to do. 200 million Chinese tourists, and that's their main focus. Although there's a desire to make WeChat more international, but when the numbers come in, it falls below their expectation. They know exactly where they are focusing on. So that focus is very important. They know exactly what they want to do, right? The same with so they know where their strength is. It's not in e-commerce. They are willing to partner. Alibaba has got a different model, but they are just as resolute in following that.
They do have a focus on each other, and they're looking at run rates. If they see their run rates are going down, you saw the ruthlessness of Pony Ma and that culture in Tencent. If they're not going to achieve their targets, we failed.
Mm-hmm.
We failed. Do not go down that path. We're going to pivot the organization. We're going to focus on what's the most important thing to do today. And they're ruthless.
Yeah. Yeah, and the thing is, I guess when talking, the guy you were talking about, the South Africa thing, and there's no ego about it, right?
No.
There's no ego. They know exactly where the business is. It doesn't hit it, they change, right? They don't even change. They probably thought of it in the beginning, and they're not afraid to share.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, now the other thing is speed and scale. I guess it's something that things are developing very fast and developing at great volume. Okay.
I think the thing about Huawei's visit yesterday was not only the scale of their machines and the scale they give their customers, and you saw that their machines are the backbone of Alibaba as well as Tencent, and how they've got their peak times, which are ridiculous in terms of numbers that they have to hit. But it was also the scale of the campus, and they're building hotels, they're building whole infrastructure around it. And to get that scale, it means their customers had to pay them money to build that scale. So that the success of what China has done in terms of e-commerce, especially, but that e-commerce came because of Jack Ma and Jack Ma's ability to actually do the Alipay component.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now just to finish off, okay, these are some of the highlights. There are also some feedback on some of the places that were not the highlights, right? So the places that were not the highlights were more the traditional places, the banks, the cards player, and perhaps bringing you to see them is also important in that in some, maybe not as many, maybe the next time we'll have one or
But
two.
when you see more of,
Yeah.
that actually features in some of the feedback in
Yeah.
the sense of you do want to see banks and how they're applying. They're
Yeah.
actually in an environment which is being disrupted. So seeing China Construction Bank and seeing China Merchants Bank, they are dealing it with a different way. You saw Tencent today and how they're working with the China Merchants Bank. So there is this balance that we need. The difficulty about this tour is we can brief people to communicate, but it's their communication. And when you're in an environment where sometimes they're not native speakers in that language, say, hey, meet our chief scientists. They're not. That's a part of their retention strategy, is keeping them to themselves and keeping them focused on the projects. There's very few data scientists around the world that are actually leading in this space. Once you get them, you want to keep them entertained, you want to keep them excited and inspired, and you want to get them working on the projects that they want to do the best. Culture, talent, work environments, yes, we'd like to show you more work environments. Again, it's about disruption and stuff. A lot of these people they're working day and night already. It's hard to actually go and see all the work environments. Design thinking, we will do a lot more design thinking. The Silicon Valley one, because it was in Silicon Valley, we're able to go to Stanford University and do the lectures on design thinking. If it's something that your bank does not do as a way of your daily business and the way that you connect across the silos in your business, design thinking and that approach is something that you need to investigate in. And it's something at the Asian Banker that we can actually come and visit you and actually do some dedicated design thinking workshops. And we have done that with a few banks.
A lot of this that we have, or what you're looking to do more of, relates to the highlights. So a lot of you, first thing you're gonna have a board meeting or meeting with your senior management to kind of share some of this highlights of. Some of you very interesting, starting to kind of change your own internal culture. Okay, think less like a banker, right? So yeah, I think we all should think less like a banker and more like a e-commerce player or fintech or a platform builder, right? You're building a platform to connect your customers to their lifestyle. Okay, so think about how you can make your customer better, right? Don't think about processes, don't think about products. Start with the customer and then the rest flows from there. Okay, what would you do different? Many of you are saying exactly that. They're thinking in terms of platform, scale, data, and speed. So I think the element of speed cannot be overstated, that a lot of these players will have your lunch because they are so fast, right? In the lift, they are full of youngsters, right? They, you know, and I'm sure that they think very fast, work very fast. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so change the way data is being used. Some of you are saying look deeper into what data you have and start to use the data more. Okay, this is very interesting. Push the regulator. Okay, I think we had a great exchange with Xiong, right? When we say no, the common refrain from bankers when it comes to responding to innovators. But the regulators, right? He said just talk to your regulator, right?